here is our transition barn.
Kim Skelly is one of 4 managing partners at Elvi Farms in Newark. Elvi Farms is a multi-family partnership that milks about 2,000 cows and grows feed for animals on about 3,300 acres of land.
We had a overtime threshold of 60 put in place a couple of years ago, and that has mostly been negative for our employees because they're earning less money because they're not able to work as much as they want. I think from this point on, as we push it down farther, the question will really be, can we trust the government to follow through with the tax credit?
Elvi Farms and other dairy and produce farms dealt with changes made by the state in the Farm Workers Law passed in 2020 that involved a threshold of 60 hours a week and the introduction of overtime pay in the farming industry. The State Farm Laborers Wage Board is now expecting to issue a decision in September on whether to lower that overtime threshold for farmers from 60 to 40 hours a week, while providing a new tax credit for farmers to combat the burden of extra costs.
Even with a 60-hour threshold, there's some people who don't want to come to New York because they can go to another 45 states where there's not overtime restrictions. And the word is kind of out there that it's going to get suppressed down further. They don't even hear the tax credit part. That's like the message they're not hearing. And so regardless of whether it's a tax credit or not, they just hear suppressed hours, and therefore they're kind of making up their minds on where they go based on that. We've already heard some farmers say they're having a hard time getting some people to come back that used to come every year.
In my opinion, from the farmer's perspective, the seasonal nature of the business requires farmers and laborers to work as many hours as possible when the weather permits.
Scott Allen is partner at Lippies Mathias LLP and team leader of the law firm's agricultural practice group. Allen grew up on Reeves Farms in Baldwinsville, New York, and worked for his family farm every summer until his sophomore year of college.
In my opinion, until we get through a full farming season and farmers actually receive that tax credit, the increased costs and the associated stress rests with the farmers right now.
I have a hard time seeing an upside, I guess. We have content employees. They're very engaged in their farm work here. We don't have a lot of turnover at this farm, and so this has been a kind of a tension the last couple of years, especially the first year it was in place.
Jeff Williams is the director of policy at the New York Farm Bureau.
We're trying to make cases between now and September, and then in the 2-week comment period after, from farmers who continue to say this is not the time to increase cost on businesses. Granted, there is a tax credit to help offset some of these costs, but with major supply chain issues, cost of diesel fuel and fertilizer, this is not the right time, and right with going into a recession as well, possibly. If New York wants to compete with other states in the world in agriculture, this is not the way to do it.
If these changes are going to be made, it should be a federal issue because we get put at a competitive disadvantage compared to other states, which we're already at. Pennsylvania and actually another country, Canada, are shipping a lot of product into our state because they can do it at a lower cost than we can.
For Finger Lakes One, Megan Hatch.